You have a very interesting background. You've actually had a ton of success already in podcasting, even before this Listen Network venture. Tell me a little bit about how you fell into podcasting and how you got from starting there to where you are today.
Yeah, I am a sales guy, entrepreneur, sort of polyglot, and the interesting thing is that when you start companies, and this is 20 years ago, I started getting into it, and everybody wants to be a practitioner, but nobody wanted to do anything and sell. So I said, well, I guess I should learn how to sell things, and I started doing that, and I became good at the sales side and actually enjoyed it. So at one particular adventure, I was trying to sell something that was essentially 10 times as much as people were buying it for, at that point, and it was a premium product or service. And I said, no one's going to take my outbound. They're not going to want to in any way engage with me. But what if I just say, hey, you want to be on my podcast? I talk to experts like you. And so, other people were doing that at the time. I didn't know what that was. I thought I was unique and special. It was about 2017. So I cannot say in any way that I pioneered ABM podcasting, but I can say that I came to that realization at the same time, maybe as others. And I ended up, it worked. And we ended up doing millions of dollars of revenue with just the guests, and kept running that playbook, ever since. And then I got into selling actual podcast agency services for, particularly in B2B. And from that adventure, I became fascinated with this problem where, shows would start and people would want to test them, or let's see if this works, or how do you know if a podcast works? And this is like a very nuanced thing. And they would come back ultimately after, their Q1 or Q2 budget meeting, and they would say, yeah, my boss canceled it because they don't see the ROI. And I'm like, well, that's interesting and weird. And I want to solve that problem because turns out, we as a agency, industry, I guess, we tell clients a lot like, oh, hey, downloads don't matter. And let's go and, it's all about the audience and making sure you're telling the story. And let's do, episode retention, and let's do, consumption rate. And like, I agree with all those things, except I know this in sales, and I hope that other people can learn this, that if you go into a budget meeting and try to train people in like the 5 minutes that you get to speak your special niche language and then give you money, it's never going to work. So maybe downloads don't matter, in the grand picture, but you damn well better be able to tell the story of how that number went up and exactly who those people are. That's what gets you funding and runway, so that your show doesn't get canceled, you don't get fired, and your agency doesn't lose a client.